Yeah, hi there, and welcome back. And let us continue with our lecture. And today we are going to write our first code for the RxJava. And I hope you guys are quite excited. So let's go and create our code over here. First of all, we'll create a val, and I'll just say obscr observable, and just sorry, not the irritable. I'll just create an observable first. The variable name, which is of equals to obscr av sorry, should be obscr observable. So it comes from the io.reactivex.rxjava3.core. Make sure you select this one, because there you can see you can find the observable in the java.util android.database, and we are interested in the reactive extension, which is of rxjava3.core. Just select that one, and here we will make use of dot, and there are a lot of operator that we can make use. First of all, we will make use of a just. So let's make use of the just operator. So this is an observable, and this is an operator that we make use, which is of just. Don't worry about it, later we will see in more detail. Just this is the first lecture, so just focus on what we are actually doing. So I'll say observable.just, and over here I'll just give us some integer value. Just let's say 1. And then what we will do is we have an observable over here. We created a variable of observable, and now we need to observe this, because this observable will emit some value. So it's emitting the value of 1 over here, and we need to observe this value that this observable is emitting. So how do we observe it? Let's create another variable, and I'll just say obscr observer, which is of equals to, let us create an object or the anonymous class over here, obj object, and let us take object, and this should be of the observer. So which comes from the make sure you take it from the observer from the reactivex.rxjava3.core, and just select the observer over here, and the observer will take a generic type. So if you go to this, it takes the generic type over here, the type of the item the observer expects to observe. So you can see that type T. So type T is a generic type. So you can see that it takes a type of the item that the observer expects to be observed. So what we are observing, what type of data we are observing, because we are emitting a value of the 1, so it's basically an integer type. So we will say over here the int type we are observing is a type of the int, and then we have to implement all of the methods. So let us implement the members over here. So let's select all of these: on, subscribed, on, next, on, error, and on complete. Okay, so we have implemented all of these methods over here. So we have overridden the method, and let's see that on subscribe is there, on next, and on error, and on complete. So we need to understand all of this. Since we are observing, we created an observer over here that is observing a value which is the type of the int, and the unsubscribed is called whenever we subscribe to this observer. So, and the next is that whenever it's emitting the value, we'll call the on next, and on error is called if there is any error, and on complete is called after it's complete all of this emission of all of this value. So what we will do is in the top I will create a companion object, and I will give a constant val of the tag. So let's create a tag, and that is of equals to, we will give a name. So let's give a name of this one. Okay, so main activity, and let us try to log all of this. So first of all, log.d, and I'll create a tag, comma, and I'll just say this is on subscribe is called. So let's say on subscribe is called, and I'll copy this and paste it over here, and here too, and here too. So let us paste, and this should be on complete. So we will tag it as on complete, and on error. So just set this on error, and we will display the error as a e, and dot to a string. Let us convert it to a string, and then over here on next we are getting the integer value. So this is the value that we are receiving, so let us try to log that value over here. Dollar, it should be of a t, and then okay, that should be fine. So let us, now we have created an observable and we have an observer. So the next is that we need to subscribe to this observer. So until and unless we subscribe it, then we are not going to get any output. So for that, what we will do is we will go and we will go over down over somewhere here. Let us go to the down over here and let us observable. So just copy this observable dot. I need to subscribe it. So observable dot observable dot su. Why I'm not getting that one? Okay, I think I made a mistake. It should be inside this method, so I'm out of the method. That's funny. So just copy this and we'll go here at the bottom and just observable thus I need to subscribe to this particular. We have a lot of subscribe methods, so let's take one subscribe this, and I'll subscribe to that one, and we need to pass the observer over here. This is the observer. I am going to pass it over here, the observer over here. Now we can run our application because we have this observable and we subscribe it. Until and unless we subscribe to that particular observer, then we are not going to get any output because we have an observable that's emitting the value, and then we subscribe to this observer because this is the actual implementation that we have done over here. What will happen on next, what will happen on error, what will happen on incomplete. So let us run our application and let us go to the logcat over here, and we should see some of the output. And for that, let us just filter it out by this one, and then we should see some output is called as a 1, and unsubscribe is called, why it's calling 2 times unsubscribe. Okay, this should be on next, should be of the on next, and let me run it again and let us see what happens when we rerun it. So we get unsubscribe first. So this unsubscribe is the first method that is going to be called because we have subscribed it over here. You can see that we have subscribed that observable over here. Until and unless we subscribe, it's not going to work. So we subscribe it and it says that it's unsubscribe is called. Then it is going to the on next. So on next is called that whenever there is some value is emitted and it received that value. So it received the value 1 on next, and then after that it's just a 1 value, then it went to incomplete. It didn't went to the on error because we didn't have any error. So let's say we have a few items that we are emitting over here, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's say we emitted 5 items over here. So let me run again, and we should receive on next is called 5 times. So if you take a look over here, you can see that on next is called 5 times because the observable is emitting of 5 values. So it's receiving each value and emitting that value, and the observer over here is observing that particular value. So the observable is emitting of 5 items over here, and we are observing it, and the observer received that value. How did this observer is receiving is, you can see that observable that subscribe. Whenever we are subscribing to this observable, we are observing it, we are passing the observer over here. This is the observer that we have created, and now it's observing this particular observable. And then when we subscribe it, this method is called unsubscribe, and then it is receiving the on next over here, and after it receive all of these 5 items, then the incomplete is called. You can see that incomplete is called at the end. So make sure you try out this one, and you need to understand it carefully. Try to focus it and try to create some more example over here, and just try to understand it, what it's actually trying to do. So the first thing that we have to do is create an observable that is just emitting some value. We are using a just operator. Don't worry about this operator, later we'll see more operators. And it's just emitting of the 5 items over here. and then we create an observer because we have an observable and we need to observe what it is emitting. So here we create an observable that takes the type of the int, and on subscribe, on next, and on error, and on complete is the origin method that we have to implement. And then we can use this observable and we can subscribe to that and pass the observer over here. And when we subscribe it, then this method is called. Then every time the new value is emitted, it goes to the on next, and it will print out that value for us. And if there is an error, it will go to the on error section, or if there isn't completed, all of this item has been emitted successfully, then it will go to the on complete. Try to create some more examples over here and you will try to understand it more clearly. So I hope you guys got it, and try to practice it more, and we will see some of the more operator, or we will cover up more on the just operator on the next lecture. Till then, have a great day.